You're listening to News Bite Scotland with Michael McEwan and Peter Newman.
Hello and welcome to News Bite Scotland, where we're holding a special episode to mark the resignation of Steve Clarke, the Scotland football men's team manager, who has resigned after 7 years in charge after the exit of this Scotland team from the World Cup. In a second, you'll hear Michael's thoughts on the resignation and the legacy of the Scotland manager, but I thought before then you ought to hear the letter that Steve wrote as he went out the door. When I was first approached by the Scottish FA about the position of head coach, I was advised by many people to leave well alone, as the job had become a poisoned chalice. In my head, I was just a wee boy from Saltcoats who had done well in his chosen profession, and my country wanted me to be their leader, at least in a football sense. I couldn't find a reason to turn the approach down. My job remit was simple: qualify for a major tournament. As I reflect on my 7 years in the job, my overriding emotion is pride, closely followed by satisfaction. To the first coach since Craig Brown in 1998 to lead the country to the finals of major tournaments was the stuff of dreams. That night in Belgrade, with no supporters in the stadium due to COVID, was an experience of pure, raw emotion from start to finish. It gave the nation some welcome cheer from the restrictions of the pandemic. Although the tournament was, for us at least, a bit of a damp squib, there was an unforgettable night at Wembley when we more than matched the eventual beaten finalists England and held them to a 0-0 win. The biggest disappointment of that tournament was the absence of the Tartan Army and their tens of thousands. Roll on 3 years and we did it again, this time overseas in a great footballing country, Germany. No COVID restrictions this time, the Tartan Army made sure they were in even greater numbers than ever before. After all, it was a 26-year wait for the older members of the battalion. Again, we came up short in the matches, but a marker had been set and a new generation of Scotland supporters took my squad to their hearts. Qualify and they will come in their thousands. While emotions are raw following our elimination, I genuinely believe that if we continue to qualify regularly for these tournaments, we will inevitably break the glass ceiling of reaching the knockout phase. Winning our group from a position as third seeds is a truly remarkable achievement from a remarkable bunch of players that I have been lucky enough to lead. The campaign was difficult against quality opposition, but time and time again we found a way to get the required points, culminating in the most incredible Scotland game ever seen at Hampden in a 4-2 win versus Denmark. In time, I will be able to reflect on a tumultuous 7 years, but one element that has given me the greatest satisfaction is witnessing the reconnection of our national team and our fans. From my opening game against Cyprus in front of a half-empty Hampden Park and a largely apathetic crowd, to the frenzy of such unforgettable matches as our 2-0 defeat to Spain and that memorable night against Denmark. There were magical occasions, nights that will endure in Scottish football folklore. This reconnection was never more evident than during the past few weeks. From Miami to Boston and New Jersey, our fans won the hearts and minds of the American public and football fans across the world. Let us not forget that the players won a World Cup finals match for only the 5th time in Scottish football history and the first in 36 years. The team were responsible for giving everyone the chance to create memories that will last a lifetime, and I'm proud to have played a part in that. As I conclude my reflection on a wonderful 7 years, I really need to thank my ever-changing coaching staff who have all helped me immensely. Alex Dyer, Stephen Reid and Stevie Woods initially, followed by John Carver, Stephen Naismith and Chris Woods as the key men by my side. Austin McPhee and James Morrison helped us to push the Euros 2024, then Alan Irvine, who brought great experience to our group, and Andrew Hughes joined the team to help clinch our World Cup 2026 qualification. All good coaches, but even better people. The auxiliary staff, too many to mention, but they know who they are, who did the match analysis, medical, sports science, kits, logistic and media. When I started, the head of performance, Graham Jones, was my go-to with any problem or issues, and we worked well together in implementing our off-field progress with facilities and structures. When Graham departed for pastures new, Mark Leslie stepped up seamlessly to continue that push for higher standards off the pitch, reflecting on our preparation for World Cup 2026. Thank you to both my administrative staff for looking after me so attentively. Firstly, Frank Riley, who after a long wait represented his country when we qualified for Euro 2020 before retiring a happy man. Ashley Phillip replaced Frank and continued to support me on top of her other duties with the Scottish FA. Thank you to the two presidents, the sadly departed Rod Petrie and Mike Mulroney, both of whom supported me in their own particular way, two good men with the best interests of Scottish football at heart. Thanks also to Chief Executive Ian Maxwell for putting his head on the chopping block and making me his first head coach appointment, and to the board who always listened to me when I made my request for help in trying to improve facilities and matter concerning the teams and players. The most emotional part of this goodbye is for my players, without whom we wouldn't have had any of the memories that we've accumulated from 2019 until now. From our captain Andy Robertson with 97 caps to those at the start of their journey with the national team, almost every player that has been called upon in my time as head coach has turned up and given everything for their country, hence a period of sustained improvement for our national team. I quite quickly realised that continuity and familiarity would help these players to bond with each other and my staff, leading them to understand what is needed to be more successful at international level. They deserve all the praise and adulation that they receive, and it was truly an honour to be called their gaffer. Thanks for having me, a goodbye to, and good luck to my successor. Bye-bye Scotland, Steve Clarke. So now, over to Michael.
You're listening to News Bite Scotland with Michael McEwan and Peter Newman.
So as we were talking on the last episode of News Bite Scotland, Scotland Clarke, a big game against Brazil. Obviously they lost that game, and the news coming out, in fact it came out earlier this morning, 12:30 this morning actually, that Stevie Clarke has resigned from his post as head coach at Scotland. What next for Scotland? Couple of things here that I think it was very surprising that the SFA gave him a new deal before the World Cup. It would make more sense for the SFA to sit down after the World Cup and say to him that we'll speak about a new deal for you if we qualify or if we did well in this World Cup, but to give him a new deal before the World Cup, it didn't make any sense to me. Also, Stevie Clarke is away. We've got a big Nations League qualifying campaign kicking off in September. We need to hit the ground running there. Who will be in the running for that? The rumours, right as it smells, the rumours right away. And Stevie Naismith, Davy Moyes and Postecoglou. There might be other names out there. I think the SFA will have to take a bit of a stock time to look at the position. They need to get it right, but also they need to look at the structure of Scottish football. I don't know how many times I've said that over the years. They need to get the youth development right in Scottish football, because nobody's coming through. Youth development, grassroots football as well. But it's amazing because every time we talk about a manager losing their job at Scotland, we always talk about youth development. But we haven't managed to get that socket gate out yet. We haven't got, nobody is coming through nobody is basically coming through the ranks as well. So, the SFA needs to take stock about this as well. But I mean, it's ridiculous that the SFA gave him a new deal, before the World Cup. It would make more sense to wait until after the World Cup and see how we go on. Listen, obviously I would like to say thanks to Stevie Clarke. He did well. Obviously he'll go down in history as the first manager since 1998 to get us to a major World Cup and also back-to-back Euros. But as I've been saying on previous podcasts, that you would like to qualify for these major tournaments, but you also want to do something as well. You just don't want to get there to make up the numbers. You want to actually get out of the group and maybe get to the quarterfinals and see. You look at teams like Cape Verde and all that. Now this is their first ever World Cup, and they've qualified, get their group for the first time, obviously. So well done to them. But big questions need to be asked now at Scotland, and also big questions would need to be asked for the SFA.
You're listening to News Bite Scotland.
That was your News Bite Scotland football special. Thank you so much for joining us. Remember to hit like and subscribe wherever you're accessing the podcast, be that YouTube or your podcaster of choice. We'll see you again very soon. Take care.